What's up, Niner fam? My name is JT Magnum. Welcome back to Niner News. I am back with my computer up and running. It's all brand new. All my programs are back in. I'm able to make some videos for you guys, and I'm excited. The 49ers just drafted this past weekend, and a lot of people are pissed off about the draft picks. I was a little pissed here and there for some of the picks they didn't make. Not necessarily the picks they made, but more or less the picks that they didn't make that I felt they should have made. But we'll get into that in a second. Let's talk draft picks real quick, and then I'll talk about rosters afterwards. It might be a little bit longer of episode, but hey, this is what I do. Anyways, DeForest Buckner at number 1 for our first round pick. Actually, we had 2 first rounds pick, but let's talk about the first one. DeForest Buckner, defensive tackle out of Oregon. Phenomenal, dude. Just phenomenal. 6'7", 290 pounds, an absolute beast. And you gotta love a guy like that can penetrate, that can, get to the QB, along with being able to stop the run. Did get overpowered a little bit in college, but that's stuff that can be taught. That's stuff that can be fixed, correct in the NFL. Hopefully he will. And he's going to be a guy that can anchor our line for the future. Him and Eric Armstead. But we'll talk about that in a second. Josh Garnett, I love this pick out of Stanford. Guard, a lot of people were pissed off that we moved up to get him. If you think about it, it's still our second round pick at 28, and you gotta trade up to get those kind of picks, because you can't have all those picks. You can't have 14 or 15 picks, because all those players aren't going to make the team. So it's better to trade some of those picks, move up in the draft, pick quality guys at the positions that you move up to or down to, or whatever like that, wherever you're using your picks, and hope those guys make the team. Because those late round picks, it's not good to just stockpile picks, especially every year, because like I said, the way the 49ers are built right now, they're drafting a lot of these players. A lot of the players that are on the team are the guys that we drafted. So, those guys are going to make the team. Then you got to have the next draft class make the team. And you want to keep building like that. Get rid of the other guys that are, veterans, or maybe, high salary cap numbers like that. You got to get the younger guys in, develop them, and keep moving. Kind of the mold of New England. I think that's the way they're going. I think that's what they're doing, and hopefully that's what they're doing, because it's a smart way to go, because New England's been successful doing that for the last, I don't know how many years. So you want to do that. Like almost 20 years. New England's doing like 16 or so. So that's the way you want to go when you do stuff like that, and I like that route. I don't like Trent Baalke. We know this already at this point, because he's a little annoying the way he drafts, the way he does things. But you gotta give him credit for trying to emulate, New England in that sort of a way, to maybe try to be successful. It's just he might not be the right person picking the people. I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, our third round pick, we didn't get another pick till the third round. Will Redmond, the cornerback out of Mississippi State. Classic Trent Baalke with the ACL tear, but this guy supposedly is going to be ready by training camp. He says he's going to be ready by training camp. Trent Baalke, of course, says he's going to be ready by training camp, but we've heard this before. So it's kind of like, let me see it first before it happens, or let me, I want to see if it even happens, because I don't want to get into it. But this guy, had he not torn his ACL, has always with our Niner picks, had he not torn his ACL, would have been a late round first rounder or early second round pick anyways. So to get him in the third round is actually kind of a steal if he pans out. And the guy would have ran a under or sub 4.3, or at least a 4.3 in the 40. He was that fast. He's that quick. He's got an extremely explosive first step. That means he can intercept balls really quickly. And I didn't talk about Josh Garnett. Absolute run blocker, mauler, and a guy we needed at guard to pick at that time, at that point. Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to skip ahead like that and forget about Josh Garnett. But the absolute run blocker, absolute stud of a run blocker. He lacks in a little bit of pass protection, but that's something that can be taught. That's something that can be corrected, hopefully with some good tutelage. Hopefully the 49ers can get that from their coaching staff, and they can shore that up. But this guy's an absolute mauler when it comes to the run game. That's Chip Kelly's forte. He likes to run the rock. He wants guys that can run the ball. He wants guys that can block, especially run block. So we'll see what happens with this guy, but he's an absolute mauler. And let's get back to Will Redmond. Sorry about that. He's a guy with a quick step, like I said, can intercept balls, makes plays, has a nice, despite his height, he's like 5'11", I believe, which isn't that. I'm actually 5'11". I'm really close to 6 foot. I'm like 5'11 3/4, something like that, which is almost the same height as this guy. But this guy can get up. He can contest, those high balls and things like that. So absolute athlete, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully he comes back and he's able to, compete for the nickel spot, which I thought was weird, because they must be moving we'll get to the roster stuff in just a second because this is all very complicated, these draft picks, and I'm trying to figure out why they're doing it, and I'll give some insight as to what I think they're doing. But Rashard Robinson's the next pick. Now, this is a pick that I liked. I had him on my radar. I didn't talk about him in my draft profile, but I definitely had him on my radar. I tweeted about him. I liked him a lot. Nice height, is like almost 6'2". The weight, he's not that big of a guy. He's only like 180 pounds. And that's probably giving him some pounds, but he's a phenomenal athlete. Another fast guy, ran a 4.38 on his pro day. The dude can fly. The dude can play. The dude can ball out. He held Mike Evans to like 4 catches for 52 yards when they played against each other when he was at LSU. Got kicked off LSU's team, so he didn't even play last year. And he also had some arrest issues. He got arrested because he broke into his house. His own house basically, and stole some stuff maybe from his roommate. I'm not sure how that worked or what happened, but he says he's cleared up. He says he's not the same guy anymore. He says he's not going to be doing that kind of stuff like that. Money can make you do things like that, especially in NFL draft, so we'll see what happens with him, but he's a very promising talent. Had he gone, he probably would have been a 2nd or 3rd round pick, so to get him in the 4th round, that's a pretty good deal as well. Our 5th round pick, Ronald Blair, defensive end from Appalachian State. Now, this guy was another beast. He's a kind of unheard of guy, but he's another guy that a lot of people had high up on the, going the 3rd round or such. Not many people know about him, but he's a pass rushing nightmare. The guy can just get to the passer. He's one of those guys in the mold of like a Harrison, basically from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I can't think of his name right now. I don't know why, but don't hold me to that. Anyways, the dude can just ball out. He's one of those game time dudes that can just get to the QB and things like that, and he's going to be an excellent asset to the defensive line, and we need that, especially for a backup role. He probably won't start, obviously, at the beginning unless he's just phenomenal in camp, but this guy's another guy that can, rotate guys in, that can get to the QB. You want those kind of guys. Seattle does all the time. We need that too. Our other 5th round pick is John Theus from the offensive tackle from Georgia, 48 game starter at tackle in the SEC. That's tough to do. That's also shows he's got big game experience, and he'll be able to play that right tackle spot for us. Has the left tackle spot as right now roamed by Joe Staley, but the right tackle spot right now is Trent Brown's. So hopefully we get, one of those two are going to end up starting. I really like Trenton Brown. He's a big dude, 350 pounds. He's just a phenomenal tackle, got those long arms, but it wouldn't be a bad thing. Oops, excuse me, my phone. It wouldn't be a big thing to get John Theus as a backup as well, because the other backup, Eric Pierce, we want him out. We want him gone. He sucks. So we know we want him out. So we'll talk about, like I said, rosters in the future in just a minute. The other 5th round pick, Fawn Cooper, another tackle. This one out of Ole Miss. He took actually Laramie Tunsil's spot for 7 games, replaced him when Laramie Tunsil was hurt, and did a phenomenal job for them. He's another guy that can come in, step in, back up at left tackle or right tackle, and he's going to be a serviceable backup. Like I said, we want to get rid of these guys that sucked last year for us and get the new guys in, develop them, and get them going. Now, this one's a really cool pick. I was like in shock when they picked this guy, because he was on my radar as well, because just of a phenomenal athlete he is, and that's Jeff Driscoll. A lot of people weren't too high on him because they said he sucked at Florida and he was horrible, but not many people know why. The dude had 3 offensive coordinators in the years that he was there. And Florida, if you don't know, Florida is not a pass-friendly offense. It's never been. It's always been a run-oriented offense. Tim Tebow was there, obviously. It's always been not too quarterback-friendly. Like, if you're a quarterback there, you're not going to throw tons of touchdowns. You're not going to have those kind of things, especially since, Steve Spurrier left, basically. So all I'm saying is, with all those offensive coordinators, with all those different things happening at Florida, he decided to go to a more passer-friendly offense and did well. And now, granted, it was Louisiana Tech, but still, the dude ran I think he ran a 4.56 in the combine. A lot of people are saying he ran a sub 4.5, meaning like a 4.40. 4.47 or something like that, but I would have to see that, because from what I saw in the combine, he ran a 4.56, which doesn't matter. Cap ran a 4.53 in the combine. That's fast. You've seen how fast Kaepernick is, and this guy's a phenomenal athlete too. And this guy's 6'4", 240 pounds almost, and he can ball. So we'll see what happens with him, but I saw some of his passes. A lot of people are saying that he's not so accurate. He's a one-read quarterback as well, but I beg to differ. I saw him making progressions. I saw him throwing some pretty nice touch passes and things like that. So we'll see what happens with him, but I'm intrigued to see what Chip Kelly does with him, because he's more of an offensive-minded coach, and he's more of where Jim Harbaugh was a little bit different, and Jim Tomsula was just an idiot. But he's more of an offensive-minded coach, and he seems to utilize guys differently. So I'm interested to see what Chip Kelly does with Driscoll. He's not going to obviously start unless Gabbert gets hurt or Kaepernick gets hurt, depending on what that situation is going to be like. I thought Cap was going to be traded. I thought he was good as gone, but I'm surprised. But he's still on the team, so he's part of the 49ers, so you got to root for the guy, whether he starts or whether he sits the bench or whatever. You got to root for him, because that's your team, you know? But anyways, I'm interested to see what Jeff Driscoll brings to the table, especially in preseason, how he plays, and then because he's going to be playing the majority of the snaps. Him and Dylan Thompson are going to be battling it out along with Thad Lewis. But I don't think these guys are going to make the team. I think Jeff Driscoll's going to make the team, and they better not hopefully put him on the practice squad, because I want to be able to keep him. If they let him go, somebody's going to snatch him up. So the other 6th-round pick was Kelvin Taylor. And this is another good pick that I loved. Remind me so much of Frank Gore. He even has the number 21 in college. He basically is Fred Taylor's son. If you don't know who Fred Taylor is, he played for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was a workhorse for the Jaguars for so many years, and a phenomenal running back. This kid is not his father. Let's get it straight, because he didn't look like he was as good as his father. But the kid has potential, and the kid is a workhorse. The guy can just run the rock, and he won't stop for you. And we need grinders like that. We need players like that. And the kid can make cuts. Whenever you see running backs that make cuts on a dime or make cuts while in full stride, you gotta love guys like that. And that's what Frank Gore did. He was able to get out space, able to get out in space, making cuts, seeing the holes. And that's the kind of runner you want. He doesn't dance too much. He just makes his cut. And as soon as he makes his cut, he puts his foot in the ground and just goes. And while he's going, if he sees somebody in his way, he makes more cuts and gets out of the way. He basically just fakes them out and he's gone. I love guys like that. And he's going to be a phenomenal add to this team. I think it's going to make Mike Davis and, Duwan Harris and Reuben Jones. Sean Drawn's going to, those kind of guys are going to have to, up their potential. They're going to have to up their ante when it comes to how they practice, how they play, because this guy's going to be coming for their job. And I like it. I like it a lot. The other 6th-round pick is Aaron Burbridge, the wide receiver from Michigan State. Now, this pick I did not like. Sharon Peak was there, and they didn't grab him, and I was kind of pissed. I forgot. I think Sharon Peak went to the Jets afterwards, but you got to make that pick. I don't know why they didn't pick him, but I really like Sharon Peak a lot. But this guy is basically Anquan Boldin 2.0. He's another Anquan Boldin. He's just another version of him. He looks like him. He runs like him. He almost makes the cuts like him. He catches over people like him. He catches everything. And he's not built as big as Anquan Boldin, but he's definitely big enough, and he contests balls, and he's almost literally an Anquan Boldin clone. If you watch the tape on him, if you watch any kind of highlights on him, and I urge you to basically come back and tell me. I'm telling you, he looks like Anquan Boldin. That's what he reminds me of. So if it works out, great. I just feel like we already have Anquan Boldin type of receivers on the team. We already have a lot of possession receivers, so I wasn't sure why they made this pick, and it was a little confusing, but is what it is. So now we get to the last pick, and it's Prince Charles Awora, cornerback from Western Kentucky. I get the pick. I understand why, but I don't understand why they made another cornerback pick. You already picked 2 corners in the 3rd and 4th round, and they decided to pick another corner in the 7th, which makes no sense because we already have a stable of corners. At that time, I thought Scooby Wright was there, and he got picked the pick after us. After that pick, he gets picked by the Cleveland Browns, I believe, and we needed an inside linebacker. I felt we needed an inside linebacker, so I'll get into the roster in a second, but I was mad about this pick because I felt like we didn't need the guy, and we must be either getting rid of some corners or maybe we're taking a new approach to corners, but I'll get into that in just a second. But I didn't like the pick. It wasn't because I didn't like the kid. I think he's a great athlete. He had like crazy 25 reps of bench press. He can jump. He had like a 30-something 8-inch vertical or something like that. He ran a 4.32. Like the guy was he's just like he's a phenomenal athlete, and he'll be a pretty good corner. Like he's a good corner, but did we need him? Did we need to draft him at that point when Scooby Wright was there? We needed an inside linebacker, and the guy Scooby Wright is a proven middle linebacker. The guy can make plays. Now he wasn't that fast, but he can make plays. He was kind of like in the mold of Chris Borland. But anyways, let's get into the roster real quick. I'm excited about the Brenson Buckner pick because of the fact that Brenson Buckner, what is wrong with me? DeForest Buckner pick, because think about the line. It's going to be DeForest Buckner, Quentin Dial, or Ian Williams, depending on Ian Williams' health, but most likely it's going to be Quentin Dial, and then Eric Armstead. And you got those three on the line right there. That's going to be a run stuffing just machine there. And then you have on the outside, you got Aaron Lynch, you got probably Eli Harold or Tank Carradine, who's lost some weight. He's going to be playing outside linebacker, lost some weight. Eli Harold on the outside, along with Aaron Lynch over here, or Tank Carradine, like I said. Maybe Ahmad Brooks, I'm not sure. And then the middle linebackers, you have Navarro Bowman, either Gerald Hodges or Ahmad Brooks. I think that the 49ers are doing something with the middle linebacker situation with either Eli Harold or Ahmad Brooks. One of those two I think is going to end up playing middle linebacker. I just have this weird feeling that they're doing something because they don't seem to be worried about middle linebackers. They seem to be not caring about it. So I think that this is my theory, and don't hold me to this because I'm not sure, but I think either Eli Harold or Ahmad Brooks is going to move to inside linebacker because they don't seem to be worried about cutting them. They don't seem to be worried about anything. They seem to be just fine with who they got, and I just have a feeling that the one of those two guys might end up starting or playing there, or maybe Gerald Hodges ends up starting and maybe one of them backs them up because it just feels they got to utilize these linebackers. There's a lot of talent, but they have them on the outside, but they can't play them all on the outside, so you got to play one of them inside. I think Eli Harold might be the guy. Either that or Ahmad Brooks. Well, we'll see, because Ahmad Brooks is slowing down. He can't cover tight ends anymore, so you might as well have him slide inside and make plays on the inside. So maybe that will happen. I'm not sure, but let's see. Now the offensive line, you got Joe Staley, you got Josh Garnett probably on the left side. You're going to have Daniel Kilgore at center. You're going to have on the right side probably Zane Beadles, and on the other right side Trenton Brown. And I think that's a great offensive line right there. First of all, it's a mammoth offensive line for blocking. It's going to be very hard for teams to get in. We're going to be able to maul people, and I love it. With Carlos Hyde running behind him and whoever else backs him up. So I really like that a lot. It's going to be cool for the roster, and I'm excited about that. I'm not sure if there's going to be any other interchanging or things like that, what happens, but I just think that's a mammoth offensive line. It's going to be very, very hard for teams to stop the run. So we'll see what happens with that. But moving on, the cornerback situation, I think Tremaine Brock might be out. He might be out. He makes a lot of money, but he gets burned a lot. I think the 49ers are going to switch positions. A lot of talk about the defense. It's a lot different. When Vic Fangio was a defensive coordinator, the 49ers ran a lot of the corners didn't have to worry too much. They played more of a not finesse game. Well, I shouldn't say finesse because the 49ers are very physical, but I mean, like, they played an off coverage. In other words, they weren't playing too up in people's faces man to man, but they always had support in the back because the Niners had such a great defensive line. Now, the defensive coordinator now, Jim O'Brien, I believe his name is, it's a little different. It's more of a 4-6 kind of blitzy style, like Rex Ryan-ish kind of defense, where the corners have to be, their skill has to be really good at man to man. You have to hold because there's only one safety back to help you. It's going to be a lot different and a lot of different blitz packages from all over the place, and it's just a lot of chaos. And the Niners, I think, are going to a different corner approach. So that's why I think they're drafting so many corners for competition, because they want to see who's the best man corners out of the bunch, and they're going to get rid of the rest, which means Marcus Cromartie is probably going to be gone. Chris Davis is probably going to be gone. Tremaine Brock is probably going to be gone, because Tremaine Brock, to me, is a better zone corner, not a better cover corner when it comes to man-to-man. And I think the newer guys are going to get their time to shine. Keith Reeser might be another guy that might be on the fence a little bit. Kenneth Acker, I believe, proved himself a lot last year, so we'll see what happens with him. Jimmy Ward, I think, is going to be switched back to safety. I think they're going to do some things with, that's another thing. Middle linebacker, Jaquaski Tart might be a guy that might be switching to a little bit middle linebacker spot too. I know he's a little bit short, but they do the same kind of thing with Arizona with Deion Buchanan there. So that might be another situation where the 49ers use him as a middle linebacker as well. So I think that's why the 49ers weren't too worried with putting, probably Eric Reed switching to the strong safety spot and Jimmy Ward going to free safety and manning his spot, and them changing around and doing things like that. I see that happening. With Chip Kelly, you never know what's going to happen. You never know what kind of way they're going to do things. He likes to utilize talent in the way that they should be used, and I think that's the kind of way they're going to go. That's just my theory, but let's see what happens as things go on. But that's pretty much it for rosters. As for wide receivers, I'm not sure who's going to make it, guys. I think, if you ask me, I hope that Quentin Patton goes, because I could care less about Quentin Patton at this point. To me, we don't need a guy like that. I think Bruce Ellington's going to stay. I really like Bruce Ellington a lot. He's very fast. I think Chip Kelly's finally going to be able to utilize him the way he should be utilized. I love the kid DeAndre Smelter. I want to see what he brings to the table. I love Eric Rodgers. Another guy that's probably going to be gone is going to be Jerome Simpson. I know that he's a pretty good wide receiver and all, but he's more of a veteran taking salary. They're going to cut him. They're going to let the rookies play. DeAndre White, I'm anxious to see what he does. I'm trying to think. Torrey Smith's going to be there, and Aaron Berger is probably going to end up making the team. I'm trying to think of who else is on the team. Eric Rodgers is there. I've probably mentioned, but I don't think Dres Anderson is going to make the team. I don't think those other rookies going to make the team. There is an interesting undrafted free agent in Davin Kajust, but he's going to be more or less tight end role. And that's another thing. Bruce Miller's playing tight end too, so there's going to be a lot of tight ends on this team as usual. That's why I think they didn't go the tight end route. I told people they were going to draft the tight end. I knew they were going to draft the tight end because they just have too many tight ends already. So what's the point of drafting one? So I think there's going to be a more competitive year for the 49ers. I think we're going to surprise some people. Do I think the 49ers are going to be win the division or make the playoffs? Not necessarily. Maybe not yet. Can we have a winning record? Maybe. You never know. Depending on how Chip Kelly gets his team to play, depending on how he calls plays. But we do have a very tough schedule. It's not the easiest of schedule, especially we're playing 8 or 9 playoff teams from last year or something like that. Maybe 10, I believe. I think it's ridiculous to even have that kind of schedule, but that's me. But I'm interested to see how these players are used, how Chip Kelly does things and things like that. And I think the 49ers are going to be very, very good on offense finally. I think that, given that, whoever starts being Gabbert or Kaepernick, I think that Chip Kelly's going to utilize them well, hopefully, and, put players in the right spots to succeed. So, I don't know. We'll see. But let me know in the comment section what you think of our draft picks. Obviously, I know who you wanted to draft. I saw some of you guys comments on my video of my draft picks, but let me know what you think about our draft picks. Let me know what you think the roster is going to be like when it comes start of the season. Let me know who you like from the undrafted free agents. And just let me know your thoughts, period, on the Niners' upcoming season, all right? So for JT Magnum and Niner News, I'm out. Peace.